Hey guys, hello and welcome back to another Star Wars video. So today was the day of the Super Bowl for my friends over in the States, and as expected there were a bunch of different trailers for upcoming movies from different studios, and the one we were all waiting for was The Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, in all fairness, we did get something, but the thing we got was not a final trailer. It wasn't what fans were expecting. It's very easy to be upset about this and to be all doom and gloom, and if you did have a negative reaction, I completely understand. I too was personally disappointed, and I'm honestly baffled by the marketing for this movie. Most of the world doesn't know there's a Star Wars film coming just around the corner, and 3 months out, this isn't a TV show. They should be doing more about it. That being said, the Super Bowl spot was never going to be full length, but I was hoping there would be something at the end of it that said something along the lines of, full trailer now streaming online. But, as of the making of this video, we have nothing. So what did we get? It was a spoof. It was a parody trailer in the style of Budweiser or a car ad, and it was narrated by Sam Elliott. Now, while I do think a proper final trailer is due pretty soon, the most disappointing thing about this is that Lucasfilm is so out of touch. They're acting like everyone knows about this movie, they're acting like the first trailer got incredible viewership, that the world over knows there's the first Star Wars film in 7 years just 3 months away, and none of that is the case. There's a lot of hope for the future, they're doing a great job marketing the mall show, but when it comes to The Mandalorian and Grogu, I'm not seeing any real hype. That's not to say there aren't Star Wars fans who are excited about it. The online fandom and the Grogu subsector fandom obviously very excited. But generally, I get the joke, I get the spoof, I get what they were going for, but this is not the way. This is not the way you should be marketing a Star Wars film this close to release. Especially when we know nothing about the plot. Aside from leaks, let's just say you're a normal Star Wars fan, maybe not in tune with the rumor mill or news reports, and let's say you just saw the teaser a few months ago. Could you be able to identify what the story of this film is about? I'm not talking about big spoilers or knowing the entire film, but just the basic premise. Can you identify the villain of the movie? If you weren't aware of the rumors, would you really know the answer to that question? We've heard about Embo, the Shadow Council, Johnny Coin's Warlord Remnant. Would you know any of that? Of course not. Now, I fully understand that secrecy and spoilers have always been a huge part of Star Wars. Going in blind without any real idea of what's going to happen has always been par for the course. But like I said, and I'm sorry to sound redundant, but we're talking about the first Star Wars movie since Episode 9. We've had one teaser for the movie which severely underperformed, and in many cases underwhelmed. This is not the time to be doing spoof ads. Maybe once you've had a full trailer out, and hype has been building for a while and fans are really excited, then you can take the Lilo and Stitch approach. Then you can go inserting Grogu into spoof ads like this. But until that point, Disney and Lucasfilm should be trying to encourage fans to actually go see this. Now let me just make one thing very, very clear. I'm not saying the movie's gonna flop. I've been consistent on this. I think this is a real case of 50-50. It's either going to do Zootopia numbers because of families and kids, or it's going to flop like Solo. But also, this might be the calm before the storm. Maybe we're going to be bombarded with Grogu marketing very soon. And if that's the case, and it does do well, then fine. But at the moment, I think it's logical and reasonable to have some concern. To look at this and say, what is Lucasfilm doing? Well, because the Super Bowl ad was getting so roasted on social media, Lucasfilm's marketing brand manager Ryan Stankiewicz actually responded, and here's what he said. Our creative and marketing team landed on a unique concept that gave a nod to classic big game spots of years past. It captured the warmth, humour, and emotional connection between these two beloved characters, and was the perfect next step for our campaign as we lead up to their big screen debut this summer. And to be fair, it was quaint, it was funny, I get it, I'm not outraged by it. I thought it was great seeing Tauntauns, and if they weren't just created for this spot, and they are in fact in the movie, then maybe the ice planet, as we theorized, is Hoth. That would be awesome. But look, what I'm saying is, with all of the other big trailers that came out, Hoppers, Project Hail Mary, Minions and Monsters Disclosure Day, Lucasfilm should have done something more serious, or at least a full trailer online in addition to it. But let's see how fans responded. You can tell they seriously think they've still got that 2010s motion, and it's embarrassing. And this is what I've been saying. Lucasfilm doesn't seem very in tune with how fans feel about Star Wars these days. Overall, there's a lot less grace, granted towards Disney Star Wars content, and compared to just a few years ago, fans are way less willing to give Lucasfilm the benefit of the doubt, even when they make joking parodies like this. I think fans just want Lucasfilm to buckle down, get serious, and give Star Wars fans a win. This person says, why are we almost 3 months out from this movie, and we have no actual trailer still? And this goes hand in hand with what I said about not knowing the plot, but also how fans felt about the first teaser. The overall sentiment was, this is fine, looks just like the TV show, doesn't look very cinematic, maybe it's just Mando season 3.5, but when we get the final trailer, in a few months' time, it's all gonna make sense. And now, with the movie so close to release, we don't get a final trailer, but instead, a Jon Favreau directed parody spoof. And yes, it was directed by Jon, just like the movie. So I understand the frustration, but like I say, I still have hope that final trailer's gonna drop any day now. But it's not good for viewership. It's not a good sign for how this movie's gonna perform, and they're not pushing the marketing further than this. You only do these kinds of ads when you've already got a lot of momentum. And people say, give it some time, have patience. A final trailer is coming, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be fine. But we're talking about a Star Wars movie. The first Star Wars movie in 7 years. This isn't a returning season of a Disney Plus show. It's a cinematic release. There's no excuse. Lucasfilm should be doing much more than this. And the fact they spent, I think, $10 million, I think it was 8 or 10, I can't remember which, they should have tried to push the best aspects of this film. Even just a 30-second sizzle of scenes from the actual movie. This person says, I'm fine with being super reserved for streaming TV shows, but I hope Star Wars has some marketing blitz plans for their theatrical release. I don't know if waiting until a month out is wise for a movie release. 100% agree with this. Sorry man, but this is an awful waste of money. Superbowl spoof that will be talked about for a day, or regular trailer that would be talked about for weeks or months. Especially when the spoof needs its own VFX budget, plus the $6 million price tag for the ad placement. That's what I'm saying, this is just such a bizarre decision. And what I've gathered from different comments and social media responses like this, is that there are still fans who really care about Star Wars, so I'm not talking about those who've checked out, but even they need a reason to go to see this. There's nowhere near the level of enthusiasm that there should be for the next Star Wars cinematic release. And guys, I'll be there day one. I'm still excited to see this, despite the poor marketing. I think there's a chance Jon Favreau cooked something pretty decent. I look forward to hopefully loving the movie. I really want to like it. But even I'm saying, I think Lucasfilm can do better. And just to clarify, because I know some people don't like when I talk like this, but having a criticism is not the same as being negative. I'm not crapping on the movie, I'm not saying it's dead on arrival, and I'm not saying it's gonna bomb. But this, to me, is just not the way. Ryan Airy from Screen Crush says, I think this is a low point. I don't know if I'd use that wording myself, but I get it. But maybe you disagree with me, maybe you think this was the best decision. Share your thoughts in the comments down below, my dear friends. And if you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and may the Force be with you, always.